Morning, everybody, and welcome to Saturday morning's edition of the One Lane Road podcast with Lucas and DK. How you doing, Big Dustin?
Good morning, sweetheart.
Well, this is our fourth early morning podcast. The Del Hollow Lake was kind of early morning podcast. I don't know what time.
Yeah, pretty early. It was about lunchtime, but this is definitely back to reality of the headquarters of the OLR.
Back in the OLR corner. Podcast corner.
No houseboats, no roadblocks, no bikinis.
Yep.
No, I didn't see any bikinis last week.
I didn't either. I mean,
I thought I saw a couple.
Yeah.
No, we're back down here, and we got a pretty cool show lined up.
Pretty good day here. The Dustin's reached out to. We've been talking a lot about people Dustin's reaching out to and Titans players he's been reaching out to and what have you. And so today we got two very, very neat interviews that I think anyway. So Mr. Jim Wyatt coming in.
Yeah, Jim is the who worked as the main guy at the Tennessee in several years as an awesome writer for the he covered Preds and Titans, and now exclusively for Titans Online is the senior writer and editor. He's going to join us here shortly and talk some Titans football, present and past. So
he was big into the Predators and the Titans, especially in the years whenever Titans first got to Tennessee. So he got to cover the Music City Miracle,
Super Bowl. He was in the press box of the Super Bowl. So Jim has been with the Titans since day one, and we're really lucky to have him. We had him lined up earlier in the week, and
had a unfortunate incident with work and didn't get to make it. So we got him today. Luckily, he was made himself available for a Saturday morning show. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah. So you always kind of cringe a little bit when you have to cancel on someone like that. 'Cause you never know when you're
going to get that chance again.
Opportunities arise. So the second guest, man, is somebody that I'm pretty excited about.
I've been hearing about this guy since before this podcast started. That, man, I hope we could get this guy.
Yeah. Bernard Pollard, former Tennessee Titans, Super Bowl winner with the Baltimore Ravens, is going to come on a little bit later in the show. So this guy is just cool as a fan, man. He's just a great personality.
Yeah. And he's got some neat stuff going on too. I'll kind of dork out with him for a minute on his.
He's a little bit of an entrepreneur now.
Yeah, he's got some entrepreneur and inventorship going on too. So he's got this Style Pro 31 and a few other things going on. So I'm gonna dork out with him engineer wise for a
Bernard's
minute. One
of those guys that's lucky enough to have a good career who doesn't struggle with playing days are over or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And we don't know that they're over. That's something I'm going to ask him about when he comes on. But yeah, our show was just about. I had written down some things, and Lucas had written down some things for this week's show, and we'll get to those too. But last night's show changed dramatically. Like I said, when Bernard messaged me back and said, "Yeah, I can do it." He was slated to come on next week. I hadn't told anybody, but he was slated to come on next week, and with it being a short week, and I'm going on vacation next week, I just thought, man, if we could get him in the morning, that'd be huge.
Yeah.
Then like 30 minutes after that, Jim texted me back and said he could come on, and I told Lucas, like, well, our show just changed for the morning.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and jump into this Jim Wyatt interview, and then we'll get into some of this other stuff right after that.
All right, guys, we got Jim Wyatt, senior editor and writer for Titans Online, former for the Tennessean. How are you this morning, Jim?
I'm doing great. I hope you're doing well.
We are doing well. We appreciate you coming in on this, fitting us in on the weekend. We apologize for not being able to get to you earlier this week whenever we had it originally scheduled, but we're glad you fit us in on this beautiful Saturday.
Yep, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, you've been a staple of the Tennessee Titans, whether it be from the Tennessean or now with your job exclusively on Titans Online. How have you seen the team evolve over the years? Like, what's some of your earliest fond memories of the team?
Well, it's funny. I came aboard at a good time, and I covered high school sports and did a lot of other things in Tennessee. And then in 1999, I started covering Titans, and the Predators for a couple of years, 99 and 2000. I've done exclusively Titans since 2001, and those are some good years as Titans fans remember. And I came aboard first year, covered the Clinic Bowl in Nashville in '98, and the next year I was covering the Super Bowl. It was hard to believe, and in 1999 season, and it was a magical time from '99 to 2003. 4 playoff appearances, 5 years, a couple AFC championship games. Obviously the Steve McNair, Eddie George, Devon Kearse, Frank Wycheck days were a great time in Titans history, and certainly they had some moments since then, and had some playoff appearances since then, but it's been a lull here of late, and I kind of get the sense that things are starting to change and get better around the team and with the team itself. With some of the changes that have been made, especially the addition of Marcus Mariota and guys like DeMarco Murray. Good draft classes. I like the direction John Robinson's headed. In the front office, I think players certainly going to like Mike Mularkey, and he's going to have a team to work with. So I think things are on the upswing now after some tough years for Titans fans. During following those glory days.
Right. We had Kevin Dyson on, earlier when we just started. We was probably 4 weeks into the show, and we had Kevin on, and we kind of said that Nashville got spoiled right off the bat, just with those. I mean, Super Bowl the very first year, and it's kind of like you said, been in a lull for the last 6, 7, 8 years. So, and I agree with what you said about John Robinson. He just pretty much changed the culture overnight almost.
Yeah, I do think he's done that, and he's good that he's come from such a good background. Obviously he was with Tampa before he got to Nashville, but he spent so much time with the Patriots, and I think that's where he really, where he cut his teeth in the league and where he really learned the most. I think, although he had some valuable years in Tampa, so I think he knows what it takes to build a winner because he's been a part of an organization to build a winner. I think I look back at these Titans days just to go back, one more time. You mentioned Dyson. What's unfortunate is this franchise could have a couple Super Bowl rings and a couple of Super Bowl trophies, if not for some missed opportunities. I mean, that '99 season so close. Getting to the Super Bowl, finishing, getting off to the slow start, and then not able to finish the game against the Rams with a win. The next year's team, that 2000 team, I thought was a Super Bowl caliber team, even better than that '99 team. Could have won the Super Bowl that year.
Absolutely.
Could have won the Super Bowl. That 2002 team that lost the AFC Championship game to Oakland was certainly a team that was capable of winning the Super Bowl. And I think the 2008 team, that started off 10-0 and finished 13-3 and lost to Baltimore, that was a Super Bowl caliber team. So that's what's made it tough around here, because they're, had some missed opportunities. I know this with the new GM and certainly new cast of players, they want to try to help change the fate a little bit.
That's funny you brought that up about the past franchise, because actually a question I had wrote down that I was going to ask you was some of the years that you thought was the best opportunities to slip, through the Titans' fingers, and I absolutely agree with you, especially about that 2002 and the 2000, because they were probably an overall better team with the additions of Keith Bullock and Albert Haynesworth and guys like that.
The 2000 team, I think, people remember the Super Bowl team. The 2000 team, I think, was the best team that's been in the city, and I think they were, just hard to believe that team didn't win it because Baltimore goes on, beats the Giants, pounds them in the Super Bowl, and the Titans, I think, would have done the same thing. I mean, they had team had home field advantage all the way through, and they just one reason or another, couldn't find a way to win that game, and they were really dominated on the scoreboard. The Ravens made one big play, and that was about it. But the Titans had some trouble on special teams, and they just couldn't find a way to win it. And then the 08 team, with all the mistakes and fumbles and allowing Baltimore to come in here again, those are obviously two painful memories for Titans fans.
And what hurts about that 08 team is they defeated Pittsburgh, late in the season, at home there. And then Pittsburgh obviously, went on to win the championship that year.
Yeah, that was a good team. I mean, it was, as another one of those games, too, against Baltimore where it just seemed like they just couldn't find a way to make the plays and just made too many mistakes to win them. But, those teams were built to win and built to win championships. And I know that's what John Robinson and Mike Pollard are trying to do with this group. And good, I think, off to a great start with some of the draft picks and some of the free agent additions.
What was going back to those old days, you were there covering the game, and obviously covering the Super Bowl was a big, big deal, but just having Dyson on her a few weeks ago, can you describe the atmosphere of the Music City Miracle that day? Is there any way to describe that, just being in the stadium that day when that happened?
Yeah, it's crazy. I know some people. I was in the press box, obviously, throughout the game, and then the way it usually works is people, and the members of the press end up trying to, get on the field or get down in position for post-game interviews, and it usually occurs, after the game looked like it had been decided. So when Buffalo goes up with the field goal by Christie late, I think a lot of members of the media started heading down, and they were in the stairwell, and some of them were on the field from earlier at the 2-minute mark. I happened to stay up in the press box, and to see that play unfold from there, I mean, it's funny. I can see where it would have been cool to be on the field. I was glad to be where I was. I was able to really see the play develop, able to see the reaction from the crowd right in front of me, able to see those replays on the TVs that are in the press box over and over again. I'll never forget all the fans, looking back, trying to get confirmation that it was a lateral or bracing for bad news that it was a forward pass, and and I think Dosman and that whole crew was just to my left, and they were they were under the microscope as well as everybody was looking at them for answers. It's just a wild scene, and I know a lot of people were in the stairwell leading down and missed it. I know a lot of fans, including my sister, that left the stadium and were walking across the bridge when the play happened. But it was pandemonium that day, and certainly propelled that team to the magical run in the postseason.
Well, you think those people regret leaving a little early?
Oh yeah, a lot of them don't want to admit it.
Yeah, no, I was there. I promise I was there.
Yeah.
But that was tough to say you missed that one, because that'd be hard.
No doubt the biggest play
like that.
No doubt the biggest play in franchise history. So, moving on to, another thing, I watched the Super Bowl over and over, and you still think Dyson's going to get that extra yard. I've watched it 50 times since 2000.
I thought the play was designed well, and the guy just happened to make a great tackle. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Most of the time he can make the guy miss, but the guy locked it down pretty good.
Well, Jim, I know we have just a few more minutes, and I know some of our listeners will want to listen to your opinion on the current product, and we touched on it with John Robinson and DeMarcus. But how do you feel DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry will work together? It's the same, kind of the same style back. I know you've answered this question probably 1,000 times in the last couple months, but
I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see I won't say a split in carries. I think you're going to see him get a lot of work. I think Derrick Henry's looked really good this off season, and it certainly just towers above the other backs. He gets in the open field and has even more speed than I thought he would. Seeing him up close and in person, and catches the ball well. But with all that said, I think DeMarco Murray, I've been even more impressed with him. He's a heck of an athlete, and runs the ball. He gets through the hole in a hurry. Again, we haven't even seen him in pads yet, but I've really been impressed with Murray. His running style, just his kind of presence on the field. Yeah, he's been a guy spoken up to a lot of these younger teammates, not just running back, but I've noticed him even with the receivers and kind of taking on a leadership role that a lot of guys are hesitant to do when they first join a new team. And I think that's a big help, because this team's needed some guys like that in the past, guys who have have been there, done that. And DeMarco Murray's the AFC, but he's the NFL Offensive Player of the Year just a couple of years ago. Comes in here with a great track record. People are going to respect what he has to say, listen to what he has to say, and I think he's helped them a lot in that category as well.
And that's what I was going to say too. Before that, it's like you're reading my questions off the list here.
It's really weird. It's like, well, he's in a room with us. He's read straight down this list almost.
Because getting kind of a superstar, and it's something the Titans have lacked the last several years. And you never really know with a guy that's coming off the record that he had in Dallas. Of course, he had the down year last year in Philly. but you're wondering sometimes what their agendas are coming to a small market team like Tennessee. So it's glad to hear, really refreshing everything I read from you about his demeanor and everything, and the leadership role he's taken on. So, and it's nice also, and I think a couple more years from now with Marcus and Derek and DeMarco, we're really starting to get some household names that people can grab a hold to here.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, they're kind of jersey sellers, so I like to call them. And for a long time, obviously got 4 spots on the side of the stadium, and I think it used to be a lot easier to figure out who those guys are going to be, and I think now teams in a position where you mentioned several of them there with DeMarco Murray and Marcus Mariota and Derek Henry, but you got guys like Darrell Casey and Brian Arakpo and Delaney Walker,
absolutely,
and certainly more than that are all noteworthy players, and so
Pro Bowlers.
Tougher decision on Pro Bowlers, and it's tougher to even decide who's going up on the side of the stadium, and it's got to have guys like that. The younger guys can look to, and they're going to show them the way in practices and in games when things get tough. And so I think this team is starving for leaders and needed guys in a leadership role in the past, and now I think a lot of guys are can do that.
Trying to wrap up here. We got a couple more quick questions. On your mailbag, I read obviously every week. Someone asked you your favorite players, and one stuck out to me, and I know you know exactly which one I've said. You said Steve and Eddie, Javon, Bullock, CJ, and Vince. Pac-Man Jones doesn't end up on a lot of people in Tennessee's favorite player list. Can I pick your brain as to why, what he done to end up on your favorite player list?
Well, I think the question was about favorite players, but I turned it to where because a lot of my favorite, obviously, fans have a different opinion maybe of favorite players than
journalists.
Than I do, just because getting to know these guys a little bit better in the locker room. My favorite players, all those guys I mentioned, some of those guys like Eddie George and Steve McNair and Javon Curse, and great players and great guys. But some of my favorite guys maybe wouldn't make the list of the most noteworthy players. Just 'cause I didn't like some guys just because they're just really good guys, great to deal with, and I'll remember them for treating me well and for treating other members of the media well. So so a lot of guys that I would have put on the list of favorite players maybe wouldn't qualify as superstars in the minds of fans.
Right.
So I turned it to most memorable players. So that wasn't necessarily the guys that I listed in there were not my favorite players. They were the most memorable ones to cover, and that's why guys like Pac-Man Jones and Vince Young ended up on that list, because I can guarantee you they're the most memorable because of not only stuff they do on the field, but all the stuff I don't want to say headaches, but they left a lasting impression from a guy like Pac-Man Jones.
Made your job a little easier sometimes to have stuff to write about, I'm sure.
Yeah, but also makes it a little bit tougher because Pac-Man Jones, obviously, he kept me up a lot of nights and had me chase stories and checking in on off the field stuff that not a lot of fun to check in on. So they were not the ones I listed. Some of them would have made my favorite players list, but some of those guys are on there just because I turned it into a most memorable players list, and I said, this is for one reason or another. And so Vince Young provided some great moments around here, but he's also memorable for some of the drama that surrounded him as well.
Definitely one of the most polarizing figures we've had here in the last several years. So
no doubt about that.
Yeah.
We'll just wrap it up. If we could have a prediction for this year, what would you think would be a good prediction? I know our division definitely got better all around. So, what do you think the Titans fans can look forward to this year?
Yeah, man, I think it's going to be competitive. I always hesitate to give out win-loss numbers just because these games, you just they're so close a lot of times. It's just a matter of finding ways to win. So, I mean, I think this team is capable. This team's won 3 games and 2 games, the last couple of seasons, and
sit through them all.
Yeah. So I mean, it's been some lean years around here, and I feel pretty safe saying that those days are gone. And I think this team is going to double, the win total from last year, and I think it's going to be in a position to win anywhere from 6-7 games to 9-10 games. I mean, I think there's such a wide range there, because I think this team's going to be in a lot of games. It's just a matter of whether or not they can find a way to win some of these close games that have been lost in past years. And I was talking to Eddie George, at Steve McNair's, at the event where Steve McNair was inducted in the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, and Eddie George said that this team kind of reminds him of that '99 team, and that really had not proven anything yet, but kind of accumulated some good players and really didn't really know how to win. Those teams obviously had a string of 8-8 seasons, couldn't get over the hump. And he said, they won a couple of games early, and people started to believe, and I'm talking about the players started to believe. And he said, if this team can start to win some games early on, get some confidence, it's capable of doing some really good things. So I think the team's going to obviously be a lot more competitive week in and week out. I think it's going to be in a position to win a lot of close games late, and if they can win some of those games early, I think it could really, things could really start to turn fast here. But you just can't ever predict how some of these tight games are going to go, and obviously there could be some growing pains that go with building a new team. But I like the makeup of this roster. I like leadership in the locker room. I think players feel that they've got some good men leading them, and John Robinson and Mike Malarkey. So I think the ingredients are there for a big turnaround, but got to happen on the field, and got to make plays at crunch time, and we won't know that until really the season gets going.
Well, as a fan, been here, since day one, I feel like this is definitely, like you said, Malarkey. I think he has the respect of the players. John Robinson definitely does. We've got a dynamic offensive core. It's very unproven. Other than Delaney, almost. You got a lot of. If you can keep Justin Hunter from jumping at the ceiling, Jim, that's your job the rest of the offseason to keep Justin Hunter. But got a little attitude on defense, and when you have number 8 back there, as long as you keep it protected, I think we've really got a great future, with him. So.
Yeah, so we just need to, training camps will be interesting. I think it's going to be, one of the most exciting training camps certainly in a long time, because you got, we talked about earlier, so many
competitions
players now that, going to get fans excited, but great competition in a lot of positions. That's how you get better. It used to be pick guys, draft players, and pretty much sure to making the team. And now, the way this roster's been built, it's going to be a dog fight for draft picks. It's going to be a dog fight for some of these free agents who have come in here. I'm not talking about the DeMarco Murrays and the Ben Jones, but some of the free agents who were signed later that are going to be not guaranteed a spot, and that's how a team gets better.
Yep. Well, Jim, we appreciate you coming on today. We run over a little bit your 15 minutes, but love to pick your brain a little bit. You're the best, in my opinion, in what you do in this market, especially, and I would argue nationally. So we got your boy Bernard coming on here pretty soon later on.
Yep. Well, I appreciate that, and Bernard, certainly it'll be very entertaining, and you won't have any trouble getting the show spiced up with him. He's a good guy and a great expressed himself very well, and I know he's got a lot of stuff going on off the field now, where he's kind of an inventor and has a great mind outside the game. I know he's got a tray that he'll tell you about that he made for bathroom sink that has done really well, and I think kind of an innovator, an entrepreneur. He's got some more stuff in the works too, so he might even share some of that stuff with us.
Oh, I'm sure he will. He's been messaging me back and forth. He's pumped to plug some of his stuff, and we're just glad to have him. And again, like I said, it's always nice when you guys can come on and join us when you don't have to, and we appreciate you taking your time this morning.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me on. I feel fortunate to have the job that I have and to be able to cover the NFL and cover the Titans in the city where I grew up, and this is my hometown, so I'm forced to be here. So I appreciate the opportunity, and I hope you have a great weekend.
You too. Have a happy 4th, Mr. White.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Jim.
Wow, man, that was a great interview there. Jim Wyatt was awesome.
Man, Jim is good. Like I said, he's the best in the business, man, in my opinion. And he's just such a great interview. And I love reading his articles every week, and it's cool to have him.
It was cool to have him, man. Some big news other than Jim Wyatt this week in Tennessee sports, man. Pat Summitt, passing of Pat Summitt.
That was not only just local news. That made national news,
news
for good reason. And I don't know if enough people appreciated Pat Summitt until it goes along with a lot of what we say about people passing away. You don't truly appreciate them until they're gone, I think.
Right.
But man, I think just the outpouring of love and support for Pat all week has been, everybody, like they had a national, here in Tennessee especially, you wore orange yesterday for Pat. And you know how a person was loved and respected was the amount of people I looked at on Twitter that sent out messages.
There was some big names on there too. Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama.
Yeah, and even like Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Lil Wayne, like who thinks Lil Wayne would think anything about Pat Summitt?
Right.
My boy Shaq, Time Magazine, CNN.
Like Peyton Manning, obviously Peyton would have been there
Right.
in her years. She would have been super influential on Peyton Manning.
He said he wished that she could have coached him.
Oh yeah.
Some sort.
Well, I mean, she was been the only person that anywhere near his level of concentration and
Right.
Anything about Tennessee sports. I mean, those two names are probably two of the biggest names to ever come out of Tennessee sports.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the biggest two.
Yeah. She had so many players too that are now coaches that have went other places that are coaching. And I remember, or maybe it was her teammates because she was in I'm going to screw up the teams right here, so I'm not even going to try to say the teams. But I remember one year, her in a national title game, and the coach on the other side was either an ex-teammate or an ex-player of hers. And I'm sorry, I'm screwing up the teams right now, but
that's okay. She's had so many. I mean, big name players. And before the WNBA existed, she'd send players over to overseas to play. But now in the last few years, you got Shamika Holdsclaw, Candace Parker.
Candace Parker, huge, right?
Yeah, I mean some really big names.
I think some of those girls like Candace Parker, that were so big. That's probably why Shaq and Lil Wayne. Well, I mean, obviously Shaq's in the same sport, so her being one of the winningest coaches of all time, regardless of where it is, that's huge for that. But Lil Wayne's probably Candace Parker is one of those big crossover names because she married
Sheldon Williams, I think, is who she's married to. Sheldon Williams.
I thought she married a Parker. I thought she married another Parker.
No, her brother Anthony played in the NBA as well.
Oh, okay.
She's married to Shelton Williams, who used to be I think he went to school at Duke.
Oh, okay.
He made the league for a little while. I don't think he's in the NBA anymore. But,
right.
I mean, you had Alabama football, the Golden State Warriors, Good Morning America, Chipper Jones, Kenny Chesney, who obviously a big Tennessee fan. Right? Nature Boy Ric Flair tweeted out.
Governor Haslam, Emmett Smith, Dave Ramsey, Dick Vitale. Dick Vitale, he would have been huge covering
just
that.
A who's who. And but you look at her body of work, and it's just has to be the most well-respected, definitely in
probably all of sports. I mean, I would think. I mean, who else has got stats like her? You've got a lot of them wrote down there. 1,098 wins.
Most in NCAA history, men's or women's.
Men's or women's.
The first person to 1,000 wins, which is also, it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And 8 national championships.
That's huge.
87, 89, 91, 96 through 98, and of course 07 and 08, and it's the third all time behind John Wooden. The dynasties of the 60s and 70s, UCLA, and Gino Armento. I screw his name up all time, but from UConn, he's got 11. Of course, that's the big dynasty now, but without Pat Summitt, there's no Gino.
Right.
She's really the one that broke the mold for what a college coach should be all about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I think she's one of the few ladies that could go, coach a men's program and get the full respect.
That's what everybody always said, and not only just the full respect. I think she had the ability to make that crossover too, because it goes from a technical. The women's is a more technical game to a more physical game with the men's. I don't think she'd had any problem whatsoever making that crossover.
I don't think so. Just the respect she commanded in that icy glare that has been made so.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of talk about that this week. It's just a huge loss, and it's just a sad, unfortunate thing. The dementia, man, it just really set in on her when she got diagnosed in 2011.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an awful thing to sit and watch too. And,
really.
I think she did it gracefully. Obviously, she seen it coming, went ahead and bowed out, and then bowed out of the limelight, and then unfortunately, that's just one of those horrible, horrible diseases that they don't take people young. She was only 64-year-old.
Only 64, and just some things. She coached there from 74 to 2012 and never had a losing season. That's
amazing.
Started at 22 years old, and it's just
most Final Four appearances of anybody in the NCAA.
Yeah, I read that, and it's just, man, that's nuts. Like 6 more than John Wooden. That just say that again. Like, John Wooden is universally known as the greatest college coach probably ever, and she has 6 more Final Four appearances. And to never have a losing season, and all those, when she built that program from the ground up, basically. Mm-hmm. And another cool stat that I saw was that every Lady Vol who completed their eligibility with her at UT either graduated with a degree or is in the process now of getting a degree.
Well, that's huge. There's not many sports teams that can say that, because a lot of those kids go up there and they don't have anything but sports on their mind,
right?
And for her to put through the effort, and it's not the kids putting that through; that's those coaches making that effort to make sure those kids get those degrees, because everybody's not going to make it on into the WNBA or NBA or whatever. Right. Everybody's not a Candace Parker and or Shamika Holdsclaw. Everybody's not that. So, Pat Summitt having a vision to make sure that those girls go and make sure they're doing their work to get through there. That's huge.
Well, to me, it shows 2 things. It shows how much she cares for her players and probably stays on her players. She probably stayed on their butt to do well in those classes and to stay in school and to look at a bigger picture other than basketball.
Had to.
She was such a motherly figure to those girls. And also, the flip side of that, the respect those girls and love and admiration they had for Coach Summitt.
To not let her down.
That's
right.
It's just, we've been blessed over the years with several good things at Tennessee, and, it's went through some rough patches, but, you never heard about men's basketball. 1, they've been mediocre.
Right.
But 2, it's just hard to top what Pat Summitt done.
Yep. Hard to outshine Pat Summitt.
And Holly Warlick is there now, a former player. And I just think they should never have anything but women's coaches. Even if Holly leaves, I just think that should be a thing that
Tennessee carries on.
I don't know.
It's a big precedent that they've set there. Pat Summitt set a really big, really high standard right there.
You're looking at, the 8 national titles, 7-time Coach of the Year, the Naismith Basketball Coach of the Century in 2000, 2-time Olympic gold, Olympic medal winner, gold as a coach, silver as a player. Legendary career, huge loss for sports, huge loss for the state of Tennessee, and we wish her family well.
It's a hard time. We're sending all our thoughts and prayers your way. So we hope, obviously you've got any friend in Tennessee, any person in Tennessee is a friend of the Summitt family. So we hope everything. Hope y'all get past it.
That video of her singing Rocky Top that surfaced this week at a basketball game. It's just they talk about the personality. The icy glare, like I said, the stare down. It's videos like that you got to see her personality also, where she's out there in that goofy hat singing Rocky Top. So
yeah,
it was pretty cool. Huge loss.
A lot of people posting a picture that they said they took this week too of Tennessee shining whenever Pat Summitt went to heaven.
Yeah, and I saw that picture, and you want to let it. It's not people taking credit for things they don't need to be taking credit for. In actuality, who took that picture?
Our friend of the show, Nick Grace, took a picture about a year ago, didn't he?
Yeah, he said Nick took that picture. Of course, he's a cameraman for News Channel 5, but also does photography on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Took that picture, I think, on Vietnam veterans last September. Has it on his Instagram, right?
Yeah.
And all these
people start snatching it.
Yeah, and I mean, multiple people are taking
credit for
this. Like even Brittany Jackson, who is actually she played for the Vols under Pat.
Yeah.
Married to former Titan Albert Haynesworth.
Yeah.
She posted on her Instagram, it's like Pat looking down on Tennessee today.
Uh-huh.
You know, she had no idea.
Right.
But I looked on the comments below it, and it said, you know, whoever the girl posted a comment on it said, "Hey, at so-and-so, your mom's pictures went viral." And I screenshot to Nick. I was like, just another one. He goes, "Yep." And he's been fighting. Nick's been fighting the good fight on Twitter. I followed him on the last few days.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, did you take that picture? Yep, sure did. But really, did you? Because here's when I took it last September.
Right.
And, man, that's got to suck. And everybody's like, dude, it's a effing picture. You know, chill out. That's not. Because that's, I mean, obviously that was such a sweet shot.
Oh, yeah. And if it wasn't such a big deal, then why is everybody trying to take credit for it?
Right. Everybody's commenting on this picture. You know, it's got to suck for Nick. And everybody's, like I said, everybody's making fun of him. And that's on the other side of this, like, dude, it's a picture, chill out. But, man, Nick, I mean, just to be in that spot at the right time, to take that picture, and it's just, God dang, it looks just like Tennessee. It's the cloud with the orange behind it. It's so cool.
It's beautiful, yeah.
And
so everybody give credit where credit's due. If you didn't do it, don't tell everybody you did it.
Right. I mean, it's just say, like, hey, I found this picture today.
How hard is that?
Is there anything wrong with saying, oh, my goodness, Nick Grace is the guy that took this picture, or whoever took this picture that I found online? Awesome work.
Yeah, good job.
So everybody just stop, man. Nick, you keep fighting the good fight for yourself. We love that you listen to the show, and we would took up for you regardless of whether you listen to the show, because that was actually one of the coolest pictures, man, I've ever seen. Yeah. So good luck with getting all your stuff. Lucas said he saw a piece on the news about it earlier, but missed it.
I saw it starting to come on this morning on News Channel 5. They were going to pop it up there, and I had to get on to doing something else before I got to watch it.
I'm going to post the picture on our Twitter page. I think I already tweeted it earlier from our Twitter page. I'll do it again in our Facebook page also. Everybody needs to see this picture. It's an awesome picture. Yeah. So look out for it on Twitter at OLR Podcast. So
let's get into a little bit more sports talk before we get Bernard on here. This is going to be sports heavy, folks. It's just one of those days.
One of those weeks.
One of those weeks. You was telling me about Connolly.
Just the NBA in general.
NBA in general just went crazy with their salaries.
Well, they reached a new TV deal. Mm-hmm. That's why you seen guys like LeBron a couple years ago just sign a 2-year deal because he knew the TV money was coming up.
Yeah.
I forget the amount of billions that the league got from Turner and from ESPN. That's the two, ESPN and ABC is a family company. Then you got the Turner company, TNT, that, broadcasted the game. So everybody knew there was going to be money to be had. Mm-hmm. My problem with this is that players that don't deserve the money are getting the money.
Before we get into some of those guys, they're saying LeBron James might not get the money that he wants. Why would there be any doubt? Right after he just won the MVP and just won the.
Well, he's got an opt out. He's got a player opt out clause. No, he'll get the money. I would hate to see these players, and I'll read the numbers off here in a minute. If they get this much money, I hate to see where Kevin Durant and LeBron are the top two that can opt out. Mm-hmm. LeBron is under contract. He can opt out, though, and he can re-sign with Cleveland. And everybody expects him to re-sign with Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they'll give him
whatever he wants.
Whatever he wants. Kevin Durant, on the other hand, I think he'll go back to Oklahoma City, but he's got San Antonio, Boston, the Clippers, Golden State. Golden State's trying to get Kevin Durant. I mean, he can make more money staying. And that's a trend that sometimes you don't see is players leaving. But this year, you stand to make more money staying with your current team. They can pay you more money. So some deals got spit out yesterday. Timothy Mozgov was the first one to really make headlines yesterday. He was a role player who I think they said scored 15 points throughout the playoffs for Cleveland's championship run.
I was about to say, does anybody even know that name?
He played decent for them last year at times for Cleveland, but he rode the bench pretty hard.
Right.
15 points in the whole finals, or the playoffs, all 4 rounds. got a $64 million deal with the Lakers. Timothy Mozgov in 8 years has averaged 7 points and 5 rebounds.
Big time player out there.
His biggest claim to fame was having Blake Griffin's junk in his face on a dunk one time. Blake Griffin went up for a dunk, and
so
Timothy
he made a poster
Mozgov,
one time.
Yeah, his face is all in the crotch of Blake Griffin on the poster.
Uh-huh.
That was his claim to fame for years. And man, the Lakers are just going downhill so hard. Like Kevin Durant refused to even have a meeting with them. It's because they had the best owner in sports for years, Jerry Buss. When he died, his son Jim does not know how to run an organization. He's not as good of a people person as his dad was. So you're telling me the Laker great tradition, George Mikan, the first big guy in the NBA. Then you got Kareem Wilt, then Kareem, then Shaq. Then last few years you've had Dwight Howard, Andrew Bynum, Roy Hibbert, and now Timothy Mozgov. Boy, how the mighty have fallen in La La Land.
That's right.
Then you get a guy, his teammate in Cleveland, Matthew Dellavedova, he's close to signing a $48 million deal with the Bucks. In 3 years, he's averaged 6 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists.
I could do that.
I really think you could.
I could. I mean, I'll just knock somebody down and shoot me a layup on somebody. I get him.
This guy. Okay, at least I've heard of those two guys because they've been exposed. Evan, and I don't even know if I'm going to say his last name right, Evan Fournier, I don't know if something's silent in there that I don't know about. I don't care. He signed a 5-year extension with the Magic for $85 million. His career average in 4 years is 11 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists. And looks like he should be in a boy band. Like he's like 125 pounds. Nuts. And then one thing that this really resonates with me, Mike Conley.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the big one. Like, Andre Drummond.
This one's huge.
Andre Drummond, Bradley Beal, $128 million. Okay. At least I get it. They're a good name players. Should they be making that much money? No. Mike Conley. Do you know who Mike Conley is?
No, I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's the point guard for the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah.
But nice player.
9
years in the NBA, he has averaged 13.6 points, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists. Mike Conley is now the highest paid player in NBA history. 5 years, $153 million.
Not even close to being a Hall of Fame player. And I
don't even think he's made an All-Star team. The Grizzlies give him $153 million. They give Pretty Boy Chandler Parsons $94 million. They're just throwing money out.
Just throwing money away out there.
Like he's making more per year than Justin Timberlake made. Like it's comparable what Justin Timberlake cashed in. Just out of curiosity, Mike Conley, get your money.
Get your money. This ain't nothing against Mike Conley. Hey, if I could get it, I'd go get it too, buddy.
But goodness gracious, Grizzlies, come on, man. Who was it said? I don't know, I can't remember what the tweet was. It's just unbelievable. And so just to humor me a little bit, I've done some research on the top 20 highest paid players of all time. First off, on the list, Joe Johnson, Baron Davis, Rashard Lewis, Gilbert Arenas, Elton Brand, Marbury, Jermaine O'Neal, and Juwan Howard. Those guys were on the top 20 list. No Jordan, no Barkley, no Ewing, Robinson, Malone, Stockton. The players in the 80s and 90s, all-time greats, got screwed on this deal. Okay, for example, 3 great players from our era growing up. Grant Hill, Dikembe Mutombo, Alonzo Mourning. They all made $143 million total in their careers.
their entire careers, they made $10 million less than this guy just signed for.
And he's going to make that in 5 years. Unbelievable.
You think he'll get to play the next 5 years? Is he a good enough player to play the next 5 years?
Yeah, they didn't want to lose him. Like he's a very good leader for that team.
Right.
Yeah, he's only been playing, like I said, 9 years. Or is that what I said? 9 years?
Yeah.
So I could easily see him playing for the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's got some injury issues back and forth, but he'll never see $153 million, I don't think. I mean, there's only so much guaranteed or whatever.
Right.
But it's just crazy to me that Grant Hill played 19 seasons for $143 million. And all time, like I said, none of the 80s and early 90s guys were on that top 20 list. Kevin Garnett was number 1 with $315 million career gross.
Mm-hmm.
This list was a couple years ago, So he's actually still making money. He's somehow still employed in the NBA, just running down the court.
Just being a leader on that team, probably.
Yeah. And Shaq was second on that list with $292 million.
Yeah. He's probably made a lot more than that in his endorsements and everything.
Oh, yeah. He's got that ashy gold bond commercials. He's
still
got
running.
Yeah. So it's just crazy to me that we're talking about all these guys making $150 million. DeMar DeRozan, $140 million deal to stay in Toronto. 18 points for his whole career.
Man, if I just didn't have this bone in my leg and didn't have this bend in my elbow, I'd have been in that NBA, buddy.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
So,
well, let's get on to a little bit more talk. Let's see if we can't get a hold of old Bernard Pollard here and get him on the show.
All right, guys, we gonna welcome our second guest into the show. We got former Tennessee Titan, Super Bowl winner with the Baltimore Ravens, Bernard Pollard, joining the show. What's up, Bernard?
How y'all doing?
Good, man. Glad to have you on today. Glad you was able to fit us into your schedule. We apologize for it being a Saturday morning. I know you got the kids and everything, so we'll try to make it quick and try to make it interesting at least.
Oh, it's all good. You're taking me away from being a father, so it's okay.
Yeah, way to put the guilt trip on us first thing this morning, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, you've been. Hey, that's one thing Jim Wyatt said when we had him on there. He's like, "Oh man, that should be interesting when you got Bernard on." He
kind of told us to sit back and wait. He said it'll be a good interview for you guys.
Okay, Jim better watch his mouth.
That takes us back to when we were on your show, when I got to be on part of the Pollard show there a couple years ago with you, and Jim was kicked back, there, and that was a lot of fun, was it not?
Oh, dude, I had a blast, man. It's always fun to be able to do something like that, to engage with just the fans and just the different places, the venues we were at. And, for me, I love doing stuff like that. So, and of course, I got to meet you, D.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel.
It's probably the best part of the day, right there, right?
And I got to put you on the spot. Who had to be the best guest you ever had, the co-host?
Oh man! So you said you had to be the best?
No, I'm trying to get you to say that. Yeah, but
okay, yeah, no, that's what I figured you were doing. I got to give it to you. You were my dog. Y'all were driving from an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes away. So that's big time.
I always tell people Cookeville because that's like an hour 15, hour 20-minute drive. But like I really live out here in the sticks, so I just always say Cookeville, but it's always like 45 minutes past that. So So what was funny that night was I was so nervous about coming up, and I wasn't nervous initially. Then when Dave asked me, he's like, "Man, you come that far, you got to be a guest on the show." I had to go chug like 2 beers, just to get the nerves off a little bit.
No, that's all good.
But no, that was a fun show, and I didn't even go last year. I didn't go to Jason or Taylor's show. Either one of them just never made the time to go. But
they're not Bernard. So yeah, hey,
that's what I was thinking, man. Yeah. But getting into it a little bit, when you came to Tennessee, there was a lot of hype going around because you were a proven winner coming off that Ravens Super Bowl team. So, and of course the Titans were kind of on the upswing. We thought with that, and it felt like things were changing with guys like you and Delaney coming in from winning franchises. Talk about your time here in Tennessee a little bit if you don't care.
Well, no, it's one of those things. It's one of those things where Delaney and I obviously made the decision to come here. Coming off, Delaney coming off of a couple good seasons with the 49ers, myself a few good seasons with Baltimore, and the victory in the Super Bowl, funny against Delaney, but.
Yeah.
To come here, we see things like that. We see organizations like this, and we're like, okay, they're right there. They're right there at the cusp of things. And literally, we had a really good team to compete. But you got to look at some of the organizations, where you have a lot of young players. And I tell other people this: when you bring guys like Delaney and myself in, we're both I'm on the defense, he's on the offensive side of the ball, and there's only so much we can do because it doesn't matter. You bring 2 guys in, it's still, it's a 53-man roster, so it's 51 other guys that have been on this roster that don't know how to win. There's 51 other guys that have been around this
this city or this organization, and they're used to doing it one way and one way only. And when bad things start to happen, they're used to that. So you look at this whole thing, and I think Coach Malarkey is trying to get this thing in the right direction, and I believe he will. But you have to get more guys to overshadow the guys that have been here. So you got to get more guys that know how to win, more guys that have been on winning teams and understand in certain situations what to do, game time situation, and how to be pros on and off the field to help these young guys. Because this was a team full of young dudes that didn't know how to win. That I don't think I think Michael Griffin and Roos were the only ones that saw maybe more than a double-digit wins, 10, 11 wins in the season.
Yeah,
I think they were the only ones on the team.
On that 08 season,
when you have exactly. So when you have things like that, when you have a team like that, you just got dudes that they're in it for the ride. Or I shouldn't say that, they just don't know how. And and when things start to go bad, they overshadow the guys that do know how to win because they all have been here. They know each other. We don't really know anybody. And we're trying to get things going. But like I said, I think it's going in the right direction. And we'll see, how they do this year.
Yeah, I remember when you guys came in, and I was thinking, man, they want to be here. Because even though we were a 6-7 win team, you never really felt, since that 08 team, that, never really felt like they were a Super Bowl team. And I thought, man, I didn't know as much about Delaney as I did you, because I'd watched you. And I hate to admit it now because I ended up after you came in, one of my favorite players, and obviously your personality and meeting you and stuff, but man, I couldn't stand you on Houston and Baltimore. And it wasn't you particularly, it was the teams you're playing on, because obviously you don't like the Texans, if you're a Titans fan. Then the Ravens, man, just from back in the day with Steve and Eddie on that team with Ray Lewis killing us all the time, then they're the ones that beat us in the playoffs in 08, so I had a little bit of it was a little bittersweet. I was like, man, that's huge. Pollard's coming. He's a Raven, man. Come on,
Right.
But you did bring a great bit of leadership, though. I knew that was coming.
Well, I'd like to touch on something that I seen on I just seen an interview the other day with Jalen Ramsey, and he was talking about how you'd come and talk to him, and you kind of mentored him and talked to him a little bit. And one of the things that he was saying was something that you just brought up, was that being a pro on and off the field, you kind of gave him some advice on being a pro on and off the field. Did you have somebody that was able to do that for you, or was that just something that you seen that you wished you would have had whenever you first come in?
Well, I had guys like Eddie Kennison, had guys, I had Tony Gonzalez, I had Brian Waters, I had guys like that, Donnie Edwards and Pat Surtain, Sammy. So, I had a whole bunch of dudes that they poured into the young guys. It didn't matter. It didn't matter if we were here to take somebody's position or, if, we were here to do whatever. They cared about helping build guys up. And Hermet was a huge part of my growth as a player. He took myself and Jared Cage and all of us, Tom Ali, took us all under his wing and just taught us how to be good men. Not to say we're perfect by any means, we're not. I know I'm not. But, I learned how to be a pro on and off the field. And so I'm thankful. I thank God for that because that taught me a lot. And moving forward, I was able to do things and instill that into guys, when I was with the Texans, when I was with Baltimore, obviously when I was with Tennessee. That was a lot of fun. So, I try to take that and to every different aspect of life or walk of life that I go. And now this is the business realm. It was football, and football's not over yet. But
that was my next question.
Opportunity arise, so we'll see.
Yeah, and that's watching your career. One thing people can't say that you don't take plays off. You're always a hard hitter, controversial hitter. Sometimes we don't have time to get into all that Patriot stuff today, but. Not that Google has anything about you taking out Patriots 4 years in a row or anything, but no. But no, I was at the game with the Achilles injury, and it was gruesome. Achilles is one of the hardest things to come back from. That was one of my questions. I know you're doing your business things. We'll let you get into plugging that in a few minutes. what would it take for that? If that phone rings tomorrow, I know you got yourself back in great shape. I know you're doing your business thing. I want you to talk about that. But what would it take to get you back in the NFL?
Well, for me, I mean, it has to be the right situation. Obviously, I love the game. I really do. I love the game of football. The game of football has taught me a lot. But what I tell a lot of people, if a call came or didn't come, and I've fielded a couple calls, but if a call came or didn't call, football doesn't define me. And so I'm not wrapped up into football. I'm a husband. I am a father. I'm a man of God. I thank God for, who he's made me to be. But at the end of the day, you hear so many players when the game of football is over for them, they don't know what to do. They need a locker room. They need to be around, all of that environment. And I don't need that at all. I've played this game. I've given myself to this game, and I'm so thankful for the game. But at the end of the day, when it's over, it's over. I left it all on the field.
Exactly.
So I'm if it, like I said, if the call comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it's okay.
Go ahead, Lucas.
Well, something you're talking about, if it's over, it's over. But you're still going to be super active in it, because one of the things that I wanted to bring up that I saw was your My Pro Scout. Helping get some teens ranked out there in these out here in Tennessee, and I guess everywhere. But that's something we've talked about quite a bit on our podcast, is the talking about these, trying to promote these young athletes and what have you. Can you tell us a little bit about that My Pro Scout?
Well, with My Pro Scout, what I'm doing first and foremost was because, and actually what we just finished talking about, was a lot of players when they leave the game, a lot of guys try to become realtors. A lot of guys try to become, financial advisors. Some guys are car salesmen, and that's just not what they do. They spend a long time in the National Football League, and then they get out and they're like, okay, I have no idea what to do, so I'm just going to jump into any, career. And that's not, for a lot of guys, that's not good, because they get lost in it, and then they end up stopping, and then they find themselves in a hole or whatever. So nevertheless, with My Pro Scout, this is a subscription based site for high school players. And right now we're concentrating on the football model, but for, high school football players to be able to subscribe onto our website /app. They can create their profile. They can upload film. They can upload their stats after every single game. And then, so they have all of that. Then they can ask to be evaluated. So what we're asking from the high school players is to give us game film. Everybody wants to send in highlights, so high school players want to send in highlights to colleges. Well, highlights are highlights. They're the best of the best of the best of your plays that you played. So we don't see any bad plays. And so for us, we can see bad plays and highlights, but at the same time, we need to see game type situations. So we need to see game film to be able to say, okay, this player responds well when turnovers happen. This player responds well when they attack him a couple times as a press corner or as a zone corner, or this lineman knows how to adjust in games. This quarterback knows how to make calls. He knows how to make audibles and everything else, or this running back knows how to hit the hole. So it's different things like that where we step in, we evaluate them, give them the strengths and the weaknesses of their game. We give them a best fit, which helps guide them in a direction on either where they need to sign, either where they need to send their film to, as far as for colleges, whether it's Division I, Division II, Division III, or NAIA. We rate them, from a 1 to 5, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. And so it's just things like that where we offer. And the reason we did this is because if you look at the Rivals.com, the 24/7, the Scouts.com, they tell a kid he's a 5-star athlete. Well, what is a 5-star athlete? And why is he a 5-star athlete? Who ranks him to be a 5-star athlete? And you don't hear from these guys after their first year in college. You don't hear about them ever again.
Right.
You just saw them on ESPN. You saw them here. You saw them there, on signing day. But then when it's time to go to school, you never hear about these guys. And so we want to help guys understand where they are, what their worth is, as far as for colleges to be able to come in, to be able to specifically look for that talent in your college division, So if we're here in SEC country, so if Tennessee wants to get on and look for Power 5 talent, they can get on and specifically look for Power 5 talent on our site. And so, we're providing this thing, and they're being evaluated by professional players and scouts in the National Football or from the National Football League. And so, this is an opportunity to help kids and to help parents. And so many parents think their kid is the best thing since sliced bread.
All the way since
graduate college. Exactly.
This is age 5.
When they graduate college, it's not there. So we want to help them. I want to change the game and I want to change the recruiting game, to be honest with you. And I see, this thing can be great. And so we're looking at launching in the next week, and hopefully we have it done.
Well, that's great. And I see two big sides to this. One of them being, like you're saying, these kids that their parents may think they're the best thing since sliced bread, but they get some type of actual reality check. But the other thing is these kids that can get on there that don't have those opportunities to, from smaller schools that are just fantastic players that don't have the opportunity for them scouts to come out just because, those schools aren't known for producing that big talent. Now these kids are going to have an outlet to where they can actually get out there and getting people's in front of the right people.
Exactly. It's the diamonds in the rough. And
that's right.
And that's why we're doing what we're doing, and I'm really excited about it to get it in front of the parents, get it in front of the student athletes, because it's nothing like this. It's patented, it's trademarked. It's nothing like this. And like I tell a lot of kids, I tell a lot of parents, there's nowhere that they can go, nowhere in the world that they can go and get the evaluation from a professional athlete or scout, and to do all of that, get all of this in that package and get recruited. For the $120 a year, it would be for the subscription with the $100 evaluation. There's nowhere that they can do that for that price.
So what's the site? Go ahead and plug your site and anything else you want to plug, real quick.
Well, so once we launch, so we're shooting for the end of next week. It's www.myproscout.com. And, people can keep up with us. You can like us on Facebook with My Pro Scout, or you can follow us on Twitter or Instagram. So we're putting things out, letting people know what's going on, kind of putting different things, just to kind of, spark it, for the parents and for the student athletes, because they're about to get ready to hit camp here in another 2 weeks, I believe it is. They're in day week right now, but, just to get it out there to these high school coaches, just to help these young men, help guide them.
Your Twitter is CrushBoy31, correct?
At CrushBoy31, yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, couple things before you go. We do a little segment here every week. Anytime we have a guest, we didn't do it with Jim Wyatt, but I just thought your response might be too hilarious to not get a hold of it. But did a segment a few weeks ago about if you had one song on your iPod that you don't want anybody knowing it's on there, man.
What is that song?
Well, since you asked, I do have a song from Rio, the movie. What is that movie?
The Bird with the birds.
Yes, with the bird.
Yeah,
the blue bird.
But that's for your kids, though, right?
And I'll be. You know what? It was initially for the kids,
yeah.
But somehow it got on my phone, and I be jammed into it in the car. I'm talking about I am dancing. It's hilarious.
Windows down. People just staring at you.
No, windows not down. Windows all 4 windows up, and I'm getting it in.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Lucas had Katy Perry on his.
I had some Katy Perry on there, man. I couldn't help it.
And I guess the worst one I probably admitted was "Achy Breaky Heart."
Oh man, yeah, you got to get rid of that.
Hey man, come on, man.
Yeah, at least mine was from the 2000s.
Yeah, but see, I had an older sister, and I never had a mullet. Like at least I didn't have a mullet when I was younger.
He had a little bit of a mullet when he was younger. Had the high top in front, started down the back.
I've always been a shaved head. The Rio. So that another thing I got to ask you, man, other than Rio, which is blowing my mind completely. But, when I first met you on that show, you admitted to everybody in front of everybody that you were a Teen Mom addict. Are you still staying up with Teen Mom? Is that still even on?
Yes, it is, and it's a shame that you don't know that. So yes, it is. They just had their reunion show.
Oh man!
And these young women, these young ladies they're hilarious. I am a big fan of the show. They say teen pregnancy is down. Is it because of the show? I have no idea, but I will go out there and scream 100% that it's for the show. It's from the show. So yeah, man. I'm Team Mom. Right now, I'm Big Brother. I love Big Brother.
That's more relatable.
Sunday, Sunday, Wednesday, and Thursday, man. So I'm getting it in. That's all I watch.
There you go.
Do you remember what I told you when I called you out on Teen Mom? Because I remember Lindsay, my wife, she said, "Oh, I love Teen Mom." And y'all had this, like, I've been waiting to meet Bernard Pollard this whole time. The show had been on while he was a Titan. Yeah. It's like, man, it's hard-hitting dude.
We connected that night.
Oh, man, y'all was tighter than vice grips, man. I couldn't even get a word in over there.
Exactly, man. Yeah. That's just something that we do, man. You gotta let us have that's our chill moment, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Team Mom, you gotta let us do that.
I remember telling you, I was like, Team Mom, really, dude? And you're like, what? Don't judge me. And I was like, I watch pro wrestling, man. No big deal. And you know what she's got me? And neither one of them are real.
I was saying at least Bernard's is real live.
Nah, man, they're both scripted. You know that Teen Mom stuff's scripted, man. Come on.
You can't script a baby coming out.
Well, no, but hey,
exactly.
There you go.
But hey, I can relate a little bit because about 4 or 5 episodes, I had a breakdown moment on here and admitted that my wife has got me hooked on Lifetime movies right now, man.
He's just watching Lifetime all the time now. He didn't even. And then I showed the fact that I know a little bit more than I thought I did because I told him, I said, well, you ain't watched nothing yet until Christmas comes around. I watch Lifetime Christmas movies all the time.
Yeah, I ain't trying to watch the Christmas movies, but like if it's like husband and wife, like she kills a husband trying to bury him somewhere, or like a student affair, or whatever, man. Like I'm all about some Lifetime. But the thing is, Lindsay's like, can we watch this? I'm like, come on, honey, really, Lifetime? That she falls asleep 10 minutes into it, and I'm like on the edge of the couch, man, just trying to figure out where she's gonna bury this dead body at, So hey, I'm kind of on your level right now, man.
Bernard, it's been an awesome interview, buddy.
I told you I don't judge you, brother.
That's right, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on. I'm glad. I know I've been bugging you to death on Twitter about coming on here. So,
oh man, you all good, man. Hey, anytime you guys need me, I'm here.
Well, we really appreciate it.
Yes.
I'm sorry I didn't get to your StylePro31.com. We'll plug that on there for you. It's a tray for your sink to give you some extra sink space. It's pretty awesome. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, and so I geeked out on that a little bit. I really enjoy that.
Oh man, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, and man, great interview. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, get back to your kids, man. We won't deprive you from your kids any longer, brother.
Oh, that's all good.
All right, thanks. Bye.
All right, man, thanks.
All right, take it easy.
See you, Bernard.
All right.
Man, that was another great interview, I felt like.
Yeah, we've been on Bernard for weeks and weeks to come on. It just shows you a little bit of his personality. Not only was it, like I said, he was a bad dude on the field, but just a little bit of his comedic side coming out there. Just a big goofball.
A big funny guy, and what's neat about him is he's kind of mimics some of the things that we've been trying to do, try to put these young kids out there, and this thing he's got going on with myproscout.com. I just feel like that's such a great thing. Like I was saying, these kids that I just keep going back to, these kids that should have got some notoriety whenever they were younger, just because they were from a small town, didn't quite get it. So I think this will be huge for those kids.
Yeah, because we've saw many a good athlete come through this at parts, but not a lot of scouts are looking at these schools,
Hermitage Springs.
Unless you're Tyreek Key just blowing up. But just and I mentioned it before to you off air that Bernard's not one of those guys struggling with the fact that possibly his NFL career is over.
That's right.
He's moving on and he's branching out there. And
like you said, he's not defined by the NFL. That was just a time in his life. So that's a great outlook to have. And
these kids are getting to work with him. Like when he worked with Jalen Ramsey, like you mentioned, you're getting a positive role model in your career. Like he got in some trouble on the field sometimes for penalties and hits, but Bernard never been in any trouble off the field. He's a nice Christian man. He's got, like I said, positive influence, but he's also gonna get up in your butt and tell you when you're doing wrong. He's a pretty honest dude.
Yeah.
So
that's great. So feel like this has been a pretty good week. We got some big stuff coming up. I know you shouted it out on our social media. So we've got the Acoustic evening in the park coming up. That's something else we've been teasing a lot.
Yeah, man. And I'm just so giggly, like when it's like I've got something to talk about.
Yeah.
Like I want to talk about, I want to tease, but I'm real superstitious about the stuff. I don't want to put it out there until it's official. And but as soon as it's official, I'm on that social media. I'm like a woman in a beauty shop or something. Just can't contain it. But that's going to be a really cool thing. Me and Lucas actually got this ball rolling early in our infancy here. He said we should do a fundraiser of some sort. And we both agreed then, but we just didn't know what avenue we wanted to go down. And I don't remember how it came up. But
I would say, don't let him give me too much credit here. I said something about a fundraiser, and then all of a sudden Dustin put this event together. So he's the one spearheading this thing, and it's awesome. This is definitely not what I was. This is way past the scope of what I was thinking. So I think it's going to be really awesome. So
well, thank you.
Yeah,
old buddy, I slipped you that 20.
Yeah, I'll go buy something after a while with that.
Well, like me and Lucas have said about this side of it, there's no way we could flip scripts here and me do all this computer stuff that he does. And it's just, like I said, he is definitely the brains of this operation, but I'm kind of, the social media thing and me reaching out to these people, it's just kind of where I get off. It's just one of my favorite things to do. And I used to, when I worked at Woolies, I booked the band some and whatnot. And so it's something I feel comfortable at. I know musicians, so when I ran this idea past Lucas, I just thought it was nice and simple, and it's gonna get off. If you looked at the roster that we pulled up and some of the musicians, it kind of goes along with our hometown local feel of guys that we want to promote.
Yep. Our my little cousin Wesley, obviously, we've had him on here. We got to play his song for everybody. He's going to come down and sing for us.
Yeah, he was happy to do it, and then.
Ryan Hammer.
I posted Ryan on there, and I never envisioned. He texted me back. He's like, "I got good and bad news." He said, and I said, "Oh God, what?" And I thought I knew the angle he was going at, but I wasn't sure. And he said, "I can still play, but I'm not going to be by myself."
Oh.
And he said, "I'll be bringing Danny Joe with me."
All right.
So we get to bring back. He said, "The boys are back in town." I said, "What do I need to make T-shirts?" So we've bragged on them, in earlier episodes. So. He said it'd be the first time they played together in nearly 4 years. So
that's awesome. That's really
pretty
good.
Cool. And then we got
the Barry Birdwell coming down for us. He's been a musician for a long time. On part, I guess, co-owner of Patty's Place up there. But he's everybody knows Barry sings and plays, and I think he even taught my dad how to play guitar. Gave my dad guitar lessons whenever they were in school.
Yeah, Barry's really talented. He's been my partner at Titans games for
quite a while,
a few years now, and I've seen him play. And like I said, we just wanted to keep it local. Nobody bigger around here than Barry as far as just knowing some good music. And then our buddy Thad's buddy Mike. Sorry if I mispronounced your name, Demiza. He's a pretty regular frequent of Nashville bars. He plays a lot in Nashville, and he actually forgot that he's booked in Nashville that night. He's like, "Can I get one of the earlier spots?"
Well, yeah.
So. Really,
work in where you want to get
really
in.
Cool. These guys that come in here for a charity play basically for free for us, just out of the kindness of their hearts. Because he's driving all the way from Nashville, just turn around and go back to Nashville. So big shout out to him and Travis Humphrey, also a buddy of mine out around the Cookeville area. He's a singer songwriter, and he's pretty pumped about this. And got a couple more we're trying to work out. So that won't be your final lineup. We've got 2 more guys we're talking to, and. Like I said, superstitious and don't want to put it out there, but be a really big boost to the show. But that event is happening July 30th at Hermitage Springs Park. We the preliminary time right now is 4 to 8. We've got the park rented for earlier and later, so that's a time we may have to we may wiggle some time around there.
Yeah, this is going to be for charity. This is we're going to be taking donations at the event. There's not going to be any pay to park or anything. Just come on down, bring a chair. Obviously, bring a chair. We've got there are going to be concessions down there. We've got a group. We haven't finalized everything there, but we've got a group initially saying that they're going to provide concessions for everybody, so you'll be able to go grab a drink and a hot dog or a hamburger or something.
And what we ask is, since we're all doing this, myself and Lucas are doing this for free, and the artists are doing this for free. What we're going to have. And we hadn't finalized our charity, but we can promise you all donations that you give us that night will go to charity. We'll have a bucket up there or what have you. We'll have a booth set up. And, we really appreciate it for all the time and effort we're going to put into this thing. to have a really good
turnout.
Really good turnout, and some nice donations will be appreciated to go toward these charities. And
and we'll probably have one there for the performers too. They're, like I said, they're giving us their time, so if we can give them back a little bit of something, that'd be good too. So
right, and
spread the word, tell everybody.
And
if you can make it, come on.
And of course, this will be sponsored by our two local sponsors and buddies, Clay Builders and JRH Construction. We've really appreciated what they've done for us since day one, and they've helped out along the way. And not that it's costing much to put this on at all, but they've other avenues that we're looking at that we're putting their money towards that. And as far as that goes, T-shirts, for anybody that ordered T-shirts, they will be ready. I sent them ordering this past Monday, so he said to give about a 2-week lead time on those. We might have some extras that we'll be selling at the show, and also koozies. If I can get that order in quick enough, we'll be selling our koozies probably just at the show. I don't know if I'm going to hold in koozies back. And a lot of people said they wanted one, but more than likely we'll just have them for sale at the show. Yeah.
Well, that's what we're going to call it for the week. We appreciate everybody listening. We hope you come out to the show in the park. And
sports heavy this week, guys. We'll get back to regular everyday life talk next week. But when you get the senior editor for the Titans and a big name player like Bernard Pollard and Jim Wyatt to call in, you got
to jump on it when you get it.
Go with it, guys. So all you sports lovers, we hope you loved it, and everybody that's here for the BS stories and lives of Lucas and Dustin, we'll be back.
We'll be back next week. Thanks, everybody.
See you.